There were hundreds of reasons why Sikh insurgency spread in Punjab in the 80s. But a minor incident way back then significantly contributed to the flames of insurgency that engulfed the state. During the 1982 Asian Games, Sikh athletes coming in from Punjab to Delhi were stopped at the Haryana border, frisked and humiliated by an overzealous police party. The issue of pride and self-respect of the Sikhs then became center stage. In the present, just 2 days back, a young girl was stopped from darshan at the Golden Temple by an overzealous sewadar simply because the girl was sporting an imprint of the tricolour on her cheeks. The sewadar humiliated her by refusing entry on the shocking pretext that this is Punjab, not India, and the girl was obligated to follow within quote Punjab rules. So, viewers, you should see the cruel irony of the two incidents I have just mentioned. Punjabi pride was and is at stake in both cases. Punjabi pride and self-esteem are highly emotive issues for both the Punjabi Hindu and the Punjabi Sikh. If not handled with dexterity and maturity, the pride in the community issue can easily spin out of control. There are enough number of people out there who want to exploit this issue for nefarious ends. The first incident in 1982 significantly contributed to the spread of separatism and insurgency in the 80s in Punjab. The second incident and many such more, which I am sure are in the offing, have the potential to derail the peace in Punjab between Hindus and Sikhs. A peace, if I may add, which has been hard fought and won and secured due to the sacrifices of thousands who perished in the brutal insurgency of the 80s. We can see the dead embers of history being stoked again by certain elements to light a fire and plunge the state again in unrest, violence, and anarchy. Who are these elements? And which group of people and what ideology is behind these elements? Let us find out in this episode of the CAA Show. CAA, as all of you know, is Conversations and Analysis, and my name is Juggi Bhasin. To watch this video podcast, press the big red subscriber button on your screen. Subscription is, of course, completely free. Now, only a few years back, all talk of separatism here and abroad had been given a quiet burial. Only a few nuisance makers, a rump group of the Khalistan variety, would organize protests around Indian consulates and embassies abroad. But after the 2014 elections, the separatists saw an opportunity coming their way. The liberal community back home and abroad was making sufficient noise of the frayed relations between the Muslim community and the new regime post-2014. Words like genocide, cow vigilantes were being freely bandied around. The rump group of Khalistanis abroad devised a systematic plan to fuel unrest first and foremost in the Sikh diaspora abroad and then inject the virus back home in Punjab. How did they do it? The rump group of the likes of Paramjit Pamma, Kuldeep Singh Chaheru and Pannu, taking a lead from the workings of the radical mullahs abroad, captured many gurudwaras in Canada and the United Kingdom. On weekends, when the gurudwaras would be packed with the Sikh Sangat, they rolled out their manufactured stories of discrimination and harassment of Sikhs in Punjab. Many in the gullible Sangat began to believe in their lies, but there were others who did not and resisted this pernicious influence. The Khalistanis subjected the non-believers to a campaign of intimidation, even violence in the gurudwaras. The larger Sikh Sangat was told to boycott such people and their families. In a short time, if you did not agree with the lies and the deceit of the Khalistanis, you would be left isolated in the community. These tactics worked, and a fairly largest chunk of the community began to believe in the campaign of disinformation and lies. It resulted in orchestrating so-called referendums on a Khalistan in Punjab. These referendums were carried out in Canada and the United Kingdom. The next step was to transport the virus to Punjab and in the larger Sikh community. This was achieved by co-joining the interests and aspirations of the Sikh community with the fate of the Muslim community in India. If the liberal community was painting a picture of discrimination against the Muslims in India, then a new picture began to emerge that the other minority, that is the Sikhs, were also at the receiving end. In the strangest case ever of inter-community relations, many Sikhs, especially some of the affluent lot, without having ever faced any discrimination in their life, began to speak up for the Muslims and the Sikhs as having their back to the wall. Most of the new crop of young Sikh celebrities like Dilip Dosanjh, Tapsi Pannu, Gul Panang, Ravi Shergill spoke virulently against the present government. They made the case that the minorities were under threat. It is important to mention at this point that there certainly have been incidents of some kind of discrimination against the Muslim community by extreme elements. But then such extreme elements are found in all communities. But after the insurgency came to an end in Punjab and Sikhs integrated back in the national mainstream, no one has ever discriminated against them. To top it, the current Prime Minister has on more than one occasion expressed his admiration for the Sikh community. He even apologized to the community when the farm laws did not work out. As such, the intense hostility of a section of the Sikh upper crust community towards the current Prime Minister is baffling and inexplainable. Unless, of course, the poison weed of the Khalistan variety and the liberal narrative has spread all over the state. It is a case of the Sikh community taking on the problems of someone else to make a point. Be that as it may, there is peace in Punjab today, but an undercurrent of tension has certainly infected the state. People are resorting to strange behavior which can fray relations between Hindus and Sikhs. And that explains the incident of the sewadar and the young girl in the Golden Temple. The SGPC here must take the blame on this matter for always being on the wrong side of things. What is the business of a sewadar to inspect a young, impressionable girl's face? Who gave the sewadar that right? It was a disgusting and cheap and violative act. And remember, this was the same SGPC who during Bhindranwale's time, they came out with edicts that Sikh girls cannot trim their eyebrows or clean body hair on arms and legs. Does being a religious custodian mean descending to such levels? Will a religious custodian tell us the status of Punjab to India? Why has this individual not been thrown out of the precincts of the Golden Temple so far? These forces and entities and celebrities are mutating the expansive, generous, larger-than-life Sikh spirit to one of meanness, separateness, and reshaping it to a hardened minority identity. That transformation is nothing short of a betrayal of the tenets of Sikhism. And so on this note, I come to the end of this episode of the CAA show. I hope you really enjoyed this particular episode. You like our show, do subscribe to us. And on this note, it's goodbye and cheers from my end.